All right. Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody doing today? How are we doing? What is this? Thursday, right? Yeah, it's garbage day. Today is garbage day. Today is also Jaws needs to charge his phone up day. I just realized I'm down to like 5%. I'm surprised the thing is still on. So, what do we got? Hey, Colin, how we doing? Bob's and Ned tonight? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. They heard me say Tarasov might get the start, so they're already uh, what are they marking their territory? Make sure everybody knows I don't know what I'm talking about. Burned oil. Good morning. Still feeling the emotions from seeing the banner being raised for game one. Yeah, it was good. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. On my Twitter, I retweeted the whole thing since ESPN went and cut out the commercial, and it's weird. Twitter's weird. Like the first 12 hours, like only a few people had liked it. And then all of a sudden, Twitter must have started showing it to people and they retweeted it. And now, like, it's getting like hundreds of likes and hundreds of retweets. I mean, it's just the video, it's not a big deal. But it's weird how Twitter didn't find the tweet for like 12 hours. And then this morning, all of a sudden, people are finding it. So my notifications going up. Yeah, the rumors for Malkin, Colin. So there's a part of me that wants to be like, no thanks. There's a part of me because then of course that means Barkov's gone. Now, Lundell, Bennett, Rodriguez. Lundell, Bennett, Malkin. Is that the difference between winning a third cup in a row or not? As I seen them talking about Malkin would be 1C, it's like, I don't know about that. Yeah, that's a good point, James. Flyers are one of Bob's former teams, so that's a good point. Yeah, I saw it. I saw the same thing on Twitter, Colin. I forget. It's James to answer that was a James asking the question from who? It's the normal hockey insiders. They definitely are pushing it at least as a narrative. So James says probably the same people that keep saying Sid is saving Pittsburgh despite him outright denying it. I wouldn't put too much credence into it. Yeah, Malkin has a house in Miami. Exactly, hungry. So, guys, I think Barkov is coming back. The first week after the injury, I was like, I don't think he's coming back. But then when I hear how Ekblad's talking about it, and if Barkov told Spoelstra that if what he said was, I'll be back on the ice in 5 to 6 months, if he's back on the ice in 5 months, as October, November, December, January, February. If Barkov gets on the ice during the Olympic break, and maybe that's the plan, right? If he gets on skates and starts putzing around March, I mean, he could conceivably come back. It just the way that the Panthers are talking, the way they're acting, and that's the only way you could get Malkin in. We've talked about that. James says if Pittsburgh retained half, it might be possible, but only with Barkov out. And yeah, Malkin at 39 wouldn't be this powerful addition. Yeah. Hey, Matthew, how you doing, bud? No, this one's in, and I'm pretty sure this is a road game. I think it was the first game was at home, and then we go immediately on the road. No, it's actually at home today. I'm wrong once again. That's good. I'm 0 for 2 this morning. Yeah, so we're still at home today, and then we go, and we're still at home Saturday. So, I wonder how I got confused about that. Well, I'm easily confused, as Vincent will tell you. So, yeah, the game is at home. Hey, Shafasi. So this game tonight scares me. Philly's a tough young team. Yeah. I mean, last year we won opening game. We talked about this yesterday. Last year we beat the Bruins on day one, and then we lost 2 straight. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. Kima? Is that it? That's a new name. Appreciate you. And you say you expect the loss. If I had money to bet, I would bet against the Panthers tonight. Absolutely. Not that I think Flyers are great, but we did the same thing last year. It wouldn't surprise me if after the emotion of game one and all of that, whatever flaws this team is going to have, I would suspect they'll start showing their heads now, game 2, game 3. Hey, David. Missing Barkov all season is a lot more important than people think. No doubt. No doubt. I mean, it's where we're at, right? We're going to find out. I mean, Lundell did look good. I don't know if Marchand can keep the pace that he had. I mean, that would be the only thing that. Hey, Sergey, how you doing, buddy? And Matthew says Charles Wright Mackin hasn't done shit for 4 years, right? So, excuse me. Now, if Barkov is out, that would be the only thing that would make Malkin even, in my opinion, worth discussion, because I still would rather have Lundell, Luostarinen, and Marchand be the third line. Lundell's definitely capable of being a 1 or a 2. I don't know how much Marchand can play top line minutes a full season. And I like Luostarinen with Marchand, but he's got to shoot the puck more if he's going to be in the top 6. But even then, I just don't know if Malkin's the guy, right? Like, he just doesn't. I think for him it would be kind of weird, like being in Pittsburgh his whole career and then just, okay, for these couple of months I'm with the Panthers. And I just don't know if he would want to end it that. If he had never won a cup, maybe. You know what I mean? But if he's considering continuing to play, like with Marchand, he knew he wanted to keep playing, so it kind of made some sense. James says Zito isn't going to do anything until we know exactly what and where the issue is. There's no need to make a move immediately. We still have a decent top 9. Exactly. So David says, no one dislikes McDavid more than me, but I thought it was interference. So I thought it was, I mean, I get what you're saying, David. They both moved their arms at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's hard to know, right? It's hard to know. Now, obviously, the only way Uyghur is going to keep up with McDavid from that position is to get a little grabby. So they're not going to call that on McDavid, though, no matter what. I thought maybe it could have gone both ways, you know, a little bit on each side. Hey, Simon. Yeah, Barkov was walking without crutches. It's insane, right? James says walking without crutches within a week of injury is normal for that type of injury. I see. Yeah, I saw that, Hungry. He says apparently they did a study about most and least intelligent hockey fan bases. Most of the teams that are beating the playoffs are in the least intelligent list. Wasn't it like a betting site that did it, though? Like, were they? Well, I wonder what the parameters of that were. Hey, Cade. Hold on, I got a super chat here I want to get to here. I see all the way at the bottom. Hey, thank you, Zach. Thank you, buddy. Much appreciated, bud. He says, thanks for the entertainment and combos to get me through work. I made it into one of the pregame vids, selling with the belt after a video. Oh, very cool. After a playoff goal. Very cool. That's awesome. Thank you again, bud. Yeah, exactly. Mythical Barkov will be all right. Ekblad showing him his secret healing techniques. Bubba says, hey, Jaws, be aware. Just be aware. Make sure it was Kyle trying to authenticate the eBay account. When you see multiple attempts, it might be a bad actor attempting. Right. Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but he comes to me. It's something weird. I'm going to have to, take a look at his computer or whatnot. It's only happening on his computer. And he's been, logged into eBay for years. And then all of a sudden it didn't happen last night though. but for about 3 or 4 days there, he'd be logged in, he'd come back, he'd be logged out, and then the code sends to me. Yeah, but yeah, that's a good point. I'll have to keep an eye on what's going on with his computer. I got to take a look at it. Eyes, yep, that's the tweet I saw. It said the growing narrative in the league right now is with Barkov going out and Malkin leaving a house in Miami, that they'll probably find a way for him to be the 1 seed in Florida before long. That's the tweet I saw. So, like, I beg to differ. Like 1 seed, I don't know about that anyway. You know what I mean? So, now it is a short list, though. We did talk about that when Barkov came out. It is a short list of guys that would be worth going out and getting that don't have term into next year. Because especially now that we've given Mikkola his money, we got to pay Sam Miskevich and we got to re-sign Bobrovsky. So the money is, we're going to have it, but it's spent. And so we can't trade for somebody that's got term on their contract into next year. So the list of guys, I mean, I can go through it again. We can go through it again, but it's a short list. It really is. So let's look at this. I mean, I feel like he's coming back anyway. But just for the sake of argument, oh, that's the microwave getting turned on. Things sound weird in here. So, Panarin obviously signed. We're not getting Ovechkin. Montreal's not giving up Laine. Dallas isn't giving up Robertson. Kevin Hayes is not really. Remember, these are guys that you would consider an upgrade over Rodriguez. And now, if you wanted to pick up somebody that maybe could put the puck in the back of the net a little bit more, and I think what they need to do is just put Samoskevich in the top 6 and leave him there and let him get used to things. There's nobody on this list that, I mean, Zegras with the Fire, I mean, I looked at Schmaltz. He's not really what we're looking for. Colorado, and then the guys that do have players, they're not trading guys away. Montreal, Dallas, Kings, Colorado, they're not trading guys away. There's a few other players, but when you get down to this far on the list, it's like you may as well just keep Rodriguez there and go with what you got. It's you know what I mean? Bubba, everything's good. Yeah, you're in net tonight. Everything's good, man. Which ownership is worse, Marlins or Finns? Finns. I agree with Colin. Yeah. James, yeah, I have fun. I'm fine with Lundell and Bennett. And I agree with James. I think Barkov's coming back. So Kazuma says, Jaws, why does the NHL do so bad at marketing? I've seen more baseball coverage in golf than the Cup final and barely talk about Ovi breaking the record when WWE gets more coverage. I wonder how much of it, and I have begun to think this in terms of the YouTube channel too sometimes, but I just wonder how much of it is like location based. And what I mean is, like, Canadians are going to all hear about hockey, right? So I just wonder if the coverage that hockey doesn't get is simply because it's not, theoretically a United States sports. It is, but it almost seems purposeful, Kazuma, is what I'm trying to say. It almost seems like it's by design. I don't have a good answer for it. Malkin to Florida in exchange for a 2067 first rounder. David says, actually, the Finns consistently rank high in player satisfaction. Well, yeah, you'd be satisfied too if there was no expectations and you got to live in Florida, right? Craig says, what knee was Barkey's bad one prior to an injury and surgery? Maybe it was just a cleanup. It's not like Florida's going to spill. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I don't remember which knee it was, though. David says, I strongly disagree. I'd take Erod over any of those guys. Yeah, I think that's what we're saying. Hey, Paul, how you doing, bud? Locker room, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, David. No, I mean, honestly, when we look at the list, I mean, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. If you wanted to add a scoring winger and keep Rod at center, or maybe try Luosterainen. Now, that's another way we could go. If you wanted to pick up a scoring winger and put him in the top 6 and put Luosterainen at 3C, but when Barkov comes back, it won't matter anyway. Yeah, exactly, David. Yeah, Erod is very underrated. I agree with you. Hey, thank you, Zach. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, bud. He says, do I ever see Greer did an interview? They spoke about Eke's PED suspension. They joke about it with Eke now. Same with Nosek, puck over the glass in Stanley Cup final game 1. Yeah, the PED thing is funny because it kind of ended up working out to our advantage. Open up that window. It was cold this morning. Now I'm hot in my sweatshirt. It kind of worked out to our advantage a little bit there, Zach, because Ekblad was rested for the playoffs, and I forgot about that. Yeah, the Nosek puck over the glass in game. I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah, Simon, the weather's good today, man. We finally cooled off. Yeah, Kazuma, ESPN takes everything. It's what it is. Was the what Chaos podcast? That's another one that doesn't show up in my feed. I've seen a couple things on Twitter, but I haven't seen them on YouTube. James, yeah, no, Erod is very, very versatile. It's. I mean, we would technically be fine, right? Like if we weren't trying to three-peat, we would just roll with this roster and be like, okay, we're good. But since we just don't know exactly what it's going to look like, although Tuesday it looked exactly the same, right? It was the same script that we've been playing, which at this point, I think we could all agree that the second period is it's purposeful. They come out hard and they finish hard and they coast in the second period to conserve energy. At this point, I don't think I could be convinced that they're not doing it on purpose. They'd never admit it, but they've been using that script since at least all of last year and including some of the playoffs until it got in the nitty-gritty at the end. It's got to be on purpose. They never admit it, though. Did I have a favorite college team back in the day? Miami Hurricanes. I grew up in Miami. So, yeah, I grew up during the era of when the Canes were, winning all those games in a row and winning championships. I still remember crying when Notre Dame beat us. Yeah, Kuznetsov is still out there, and he's cheap and hungry. I think if we get desperate, they need to just put Samoskevich in the top 6 and be done with it. Like, it's good that he set up Boquist and they're pushing that line and that's all fine and everything. But boy, give me Lundell with Samoskevich and Verhaeghe. I just want to see it. I'm not saying it's permanent. I just want to see them try to stop that line. Sergey says, Erod is the piece of the puzzle, boys. Why change what's been working, right? And that's true. But he's still going to find himself. Somebody's going to find themselves off the ice when Barkov comes back. If he comes back for the playoffs, we talked about it. You cannot field a roster with Barkov on the ice and Erod on the ice that's under the cap unless somebody else that makes at least that amount of money is out. So I don't know what's going to happen, man. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, eyes. Yeah, they were happy to see him come back until he played well. Oh yeah, Bissonnette. I remember seeing something about that, about him taking the beating in a restaurant parking lot. Con says, I can't really tell how good the Bees would be this year. Swayman looks like he's back, but the decor for Boston is all over the place besides McAvoy. Yeah, last night's games were pretty interesting. Kazuma. Yeah. You talking about Zito in the Florida Hockey Podcast. We need to find a way. Yeah. I've knocked on the door a few times, but they're just not going to interact with me the way that Toronto would interact with Dangle, or, I just don't have I don't know what it is. Yeah, last episode of Seasons 2 of Face Off is great. Chucky asking Oilers bench, how scared are you guys right now? I haven't watched any of that yet. I'm going to have to check it out. James, yeah, except Schmidt wasn't with the Panthers then, right? Let's look at the scores from last night. Last night's scores were, I don't know if I would use the word surprising, but found them interesting. So obviously the big one was, and if you look at the box score, it's even better for Flames and Oilers. It was 3-0 Edmonton. It was 3-0 Edmonton, and they blew the game. And I guess the shootout went 8 rounds, right? And then, so that was good to see. And then the Kings and the Knights in the shootout. So there was no defense played there. This was the one I was surprised to see. Bruins 3, Capitals 1. I was definitely surprised to see that. And then, yeah. Did they give Toronto the cup yet? Did the Leafs did they already just declare Toronto the winner? I was a little bit disappointed there in Montreal's performance. And then when you go down and you look at Montembeault, it's not great numbers. It's not terrible. You can't, without seeing exactly how the goals went on. But it was a little bit disappointing there. And for the Leafs, Nylander, Riley, Matthews, McMahon, Jonkruk. I mean, they put the points on the board. And obviously 3 goals here in the third period. So a little bit disappointed in Montreal. But again, they want to prove me wrong. So we'll see how that works out. The parade's been planned, James. Geez. Yeah, Dave, I'll have to check that out. Frosty says, call me crazy, but I think the Bruins can surprise people this year. I mean, the roster is not awful. And you've still got Swayman. You still got Pasta. You still got a few good guys. If Montreal's not going to play well, there's going to be a spot open. I know it's only game 1. But I'm a little bit surprised that Montreal let that happen last night. I would have thought it was a good game into the third period. Kay says, I loved Flames Oilers last night. Awesome seeing McDavid and company taking down another peg. Yeah. Well, you know how it is. The year before they started so slow, right? Spine says Montreal played well. They looked good. The Leafs got 2 empty net goals. Okay, so that explains that. That makes a little bit more sense. Still would have liked to have seen Montreal make a statement and get the 2 points there, or at least get it to overtime. So, but that's going to be the question: is Monty right? But I guess if he only gave up 3, yeah, I should have noted. I should have noticed that when it said he only gave up 3 goals. I should have put A and B together about the empty net goals. Zach says Steve Dangle was quoted as saying Sam Reinhart versus the Leafs shouldn't empty net goal versus the Leafs shouldn't count if he finished whichever season with 50 goals. But Okuma's genes over the Leafs putting up 2 empty. He said the empty net goal shouldn't count. Poor Dangle. I feel bad for the dude. I do. You know, I kind of feel bad for him to have come, you know, to have been doing those videos for so long and not get past the second round. I can't imagine, you know, I can't imagine the frustration. I can't imagine what I would have become. Like, I started the channel bitching and complaining, but then we won. So, like, can you imagine if we would have never won? Like, I mean, you think I'm crazy for Cocoa Puffs now. I would have probably turned into Dangle. So I can see the parallels between him and I in the sense that I can see that. I would have turned out exactly like him if the Panthers would have just kept losing and losing and losing. I can certainly see that. There was a question here. What do I think about the Roslovic addition for the Oilers? I mean, he's a decent player. It gives them certainly not a nothing negative to say about the guy. You know, they definitely needed to upgrade their depth depending on where they're going to run them. So, you know, those are the kind of guys that you need, right? You need guys that can come in and just give you minutes wherever you're going to put them in the lineup. So, you know, I don't think he's a massive difference maker, but if somebody gets hurt, he probably step in and play well. David says, didn't the Oilers fire the coach 2 years ago and then they won like 16 in a row? It was a terrible start. Hey, Simon. Yeah, so I don't have a hockey pool. I didn't do hockey this year. I just have the NFL one. I got to change my lineup today. I got to remember to take care of my fantasy lineup today. Damn it. Zach says he brings it on himself. Every year he screams for change, then joyfully goes along when nothing happens. He thinks he has influence over the team when he's a glorified microphone stand. Yeah, I mean, we're different here. We already know Bill calls me for advice. You know, that's accepted. I've got the video proof, so you guys can't say he doesn't call me for advice. Burned Oil says, you're right. Little Dangle is justified in losing in his mind with how the Leafs have blown series after series like that with 3-1 leads against Montreal that end up losing. Yeah, like I can see both sides of it. Look, I cannot sit here in this chair. I'll criticize Dangle if he comes after the Panthers specifically, but I can't criticize him for losing his mind over nothing. If you go back and watch the game 3, I think it was game 3 or game 2, the Rangers series, the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it was game 3, because I think we had lost an overtime the game before, and then we played a horrible second period. And I lost it in the intermission segment. I mean, crazy time. Now, of course, in my defense, that's when Fluffy was dying, and I was literally laying with him on the floor in between periods and all night long. So I was stressed. So, but I mean, I went crazy time, absolutely crazy time. And we ended up coming back, and then we lost in overtime. But I can't, in good faith, completely criticize him for having lost his marbles sometimes when it happens. You know what I mean? You get when you're making these videos, the one thing that I can say is that for everything that you guys hear us say on camera, there's about 3 or 4 or 5 things that I won't say that. I won't say that. I won't say that. I'm not going to say that. I don't want to say that. I don't want to go crazy. I don't want to go. And then, so when we do lose it, when we just get to the bing, I don't care part, all of that stuff will just come out at once and make us look Cocoa Puffs. It happens. Cade. Hey, Bucks Race. How you doing, bud? So not sure if you've heard of them, but I play for a Panthers affiliate known as the Panthers Warriors Veterans Hockey Team. Our captain, Ed Zito, no relationship. Looks like Bill. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Eagles at Giants, Bruins hosting Hawks, Tampa Bay and Panthers heads early. God, go to Twitter, and just like the Tampa Bay Lightning fans, it's like they lost their mind. You know how people say people have I'm not getting political, but instead of Trump derangement syndrome, we're going to have to call it Panthers derangement syndrome, because we broke some people. We definitely broke some people. David says, "Who are y'all kidding? Most of those here lose it after a bad period." It's true, right? The Bruins look good. There's no doubt about that. Kate says, "I used to be the rabid one once long." Yeah. Once we started winning, it got easier, you know. We needed a video reacting to Steve Dangle's reaction to the last Bolts Cats preseason game. Oh, I wish I would have seen that. Yeah, PDS, Craig. PDS. I mean, it's wild, man. It's unbelievable. Look, I said it last year. If we won again, we were going to become the Chiefs. Yeah, we apologize to no one. You know, I love that that's on the rings. I do. I wouldn't want it any other way. But you guys know at some point when we lose, that's going to get used against us. You know what I mean? At some point in a game, the Panthers are losing in the playoffs. If one of our guys gets hurt or if we get eliminated, there's going to be a gazillion tweets that are going to say we apologize to no one. Yeah. But that's okay because we got 2 cups. So it's all right. We'll be all right with it. Hold on a second. Oh, okay. I heard something in the driveway. Hungry says, "So what, other teams have done that at other rings too?" Oh yeah, I mean, I love it. I'm just saying it's going to get used against us when we finally do lose. Did they make shirts? Did they make shirts with that on it? If not, they should. They definitely should. So, what do we got in Philadelphia tonight? Oh, what do you say, Cade? Difference between us and the Chiefs, we didn't need a singing pair of legs to date one of our players to get successful. Oh, thank you for not making me say the name. So far, I have made good on my promise that on neither channel shall I say either one of the names associated with the comment that Kay just left. Why am I so jumping? Is this a show of old age? Nah, I'm expecting a package. He says, at least for most of our history, I had zero. Jeez. I had zero expectations. We stunk. But the Leafs play great in the regular season. They start well in the playoffs, only choke every year. It must be brutal. It's got to be. It's so hard to watch from afar. This is our year. I mean, when Barkov got hurt, that's it. This is our year. It's like, you haven't learned anything, have you? And I say that with empathy and love as a human. It's like the Barry B scene with when he keeps banging his head up against the window. Maybe this time, maybe this time, maybe this time, maybe this time. Like, it's like at no point do you see, I've believed about 30, 40 years straight, like maybe I should just be cautious in my belief right now. Like Dolphin fans. We went from believing, we passed the cautious part and we went right into dumpster fire part. Hungry says other fan bases underestimate the amount of crap we've been taking historically. I'm so happy to be brash about winning. If they don't like it, so what? And that's true. That's true. Oh, yeah, the fake voice adjustment. James says, yeah, doesn't Dangle push the Campbell conspiracy? Funny how that connection only mattered when we started winning. Yeah, hasn't been in our organization since 2020. I think he does that to feed I don't think he actually believes it. That's my take on the whole Dangle Campbell thing. Is I think he pushes it because it sells to his fan base, but I don't think he actually believes it. I think if you got him off camera, you'd be like, no, I know that's not happening, but it makes for good content. Yeah, like Charlie kicking at the ball. Exactly, David. Yeah. Yeah, like the outlet that ranked the Cats 11 on the preseason power ranking. Exactly, Hungry. They got the engagement that they wanted. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's just saying that for clicks. Exactly. Yeah, according to him, George Peros is the most loyal player to ever play 39 games for a team. Yeah, exactly. No doubt, Craig. The Six fans things for decades, man. Vincent says Canadian hockey media is deranged. It's the same political crap. It's a game. It's a sport, entertainment. These people have nothing of value in their lives, it seems. Yeah, and I kind of feel sports has gotten that way. Like it's like sports has become politics in this sense that like I try to, you guys know, I'll criticize the team. If I think we were at fault for something, I'll say it. But then if I think we weren't, I'll stick up for us. But like mostly sports has become like politics now. We're like, no matter what happens, one side will just defend their other, and it's like tribal. It's become like tribal. Jake says he's just keeping his audience happy. Yeah, I'd really have a hard time believing that he actually believes that. David says, I mean, they had us on the ropes, but at no time did I actually believe the Leafs would beat us. I would lie if I say I wasn't concerned. Down 2-0, when they made it 3-1, we looked so bad on defense, David. I was worried. Like, we were down 2-0 in the series. You know what I mean? If you go down 3-0, it's pretty much over. So when they made that game 3-1, there was a minute there where I was lifting. There was a minute where I was like, I think, our defense just looks so bad. And then all of a sudden, boom, it just turned the light switch on. Bucks Ray says, if Tampa goes out round one again, should someone be fired? No. I can understand that sentiment, though, but Cooper's not going anywhere. Cooper's got that job for as long as he wants it. in my opinion, anyway. And it depends on the manner in which they lose, too, right? But I agree that Tampa's got a lot of pressure this year to get out of the first round. I would not want Tampa in the first round this year. I never want them in the first round. I don't want Tampa in the first round ever. I don't really want Tampa in the second round because they look angry. They look angry. You know what I mean? They're older. They've had their success, and now they've had plenty of years of lack of success. Like, just imagine, let's flip that around and envision this Panthers team. Okay? We've got our 2 cups. Let's say this same group of guys, the next 3 seasons straight, out in the first round. Can you imagine? And of course, it's not the same because Tampa moved guys, but the core guys are still there for the most part. Can you imagine the anger from like a Bennett and a Kachuk and a Marchand and some of these other guys that, man, we're pissed that we haven't gotten back not just to the cup, but the anger of having been taken out in the first round 3 years straight. Like, that's a physically dangerous team to play, whether you're winning or losing. Like a Panthers Lightning playoff series in the first round this year could get evil. Hungry. Vincent says if only Jaws made his audience happy, he would be on a welfare. I think I know what you're trying to say. I make too much money. Yeah, it's a funny story, Vincent. It really is. You see, the ex-girlfriend and I did things together financially, and there was supposed to be a financial benefit to me on that, but instead she left me with the taxes. So it looks like I made a ton of money last year that I didn't really actually make, but I ended up filing for anyway because it was either that or take her to court that I don't have the money to do. So now my tax statement, according to the government, I make too much money for any kind of help. So it's kind of funny. But I am paying the tax bill every month. So there is that. David says, new playoff format makes the first round really tough. Yeah, you're always playing somebody you've already played, right? Vincent says, Cooper's in his last year of his deal, I think. So if he wants a new project, it's the perfect time. That's a good point. Tampa is playing like a twice divorced lawyer with 5 kids. Good one, Hungry. Exactly. Hey, Coot. Yeah, the Tampa's window's closing fast. What to do about Vasilevsky, though? Like he's still young when you compare him to Bobrovsky. But the last 3 playoffs has not been good. So, like, you signed him. So is he still the guy? You would think he's still the guy, but he's got to raise his level of play in the playoffs. Yeah, we're going to need an emergency kit. It's very true, Dave. Yeah, we're also very physically dangerous, too. So when I say I don't want to play Tampa, what I'm basically getting at is, yeah, maybe we could beat them, but at what cost? Like if we're playing Tampa in the first round and that's when Barkov's supposed to come back, you don't think they go after his knee with a slash? You know what I mean? Coot says, realistically, this could be Tampa's last chance with their core since Barkov isn't going to be on the ice to put Kucherov in his pocket this year. That's kind of true. Right, Clayton. It's even worse because imagine being that team that was closer to three-peat only for your rival to blow past you and outshine you. Yeah, it's a good point. Bubba, yeah, it's what's going on in the rest of the world is crazy, man. You can never know what to believe. Not that I don't believe that this real thing's going on, but it's just like, Jesus, you watch things and it's just like, how many of you, honestly, raise your hand, how many of you watch things and you can't tell anymore if it's a skit, AI, or reality? And you have to go to the comments. David says, no one, and I mean no one, wants to play cats in a physical, dirty series. That's true. Hungry says, if the boat sinks for the Bolts, I know what I would do with Vasi, but I don't want to speak it into existence. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we looked at this. We looked at this yesterday, I think, when we were talking about McDavid. Let's look at Tampa's. When we were talking about McDavid maybe going to Toronto. Salary cap. Thank you. Boy. Let's look at this. Boy, my computer is acting so slow today. All right, so when you look at their active roster and you look at the guys that they have, so Kucherov is 32. Point is 29. He's there for forever. Gensel's 31 there for forever. Hagel's young and signed. Chiarelli is young and signed. Nick Paul is 30, signed. Yanni Gourde is signed. Going into next year, Borgstrand, I mean, they're good to go, really. What about on defense? So McDonough is on his last year. Hedman signed. Chernak is signed. They might be rebuilding the defense after this year a little bit. McDonough's 36, so that's going to be possibly an issue. Moser's an RFA, so they probably won't lose him. And then, of course, Vasilevsky's 31. He's only got this year and 2 more years. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, okay, 31, 32, 33. What do you do if you're Tampa at that point? What do you do if you're Vasilevsky? Do you want to go get another big contract? Do you want to stick around? How long do you plan on playing? But they have most of their guys. I mean, the core group of guys, Kucherov, Point, Gensel, Hagel, Cirelli, Paul, Gourde. I mean, I know Gourde left and came back, but I can see why people are liking them, considering Barkov being out. I can see what they like. Craig, I mean, it's possible. It's possible. You know what I mean? And yeah, David says, seems like the team lost its heart when they let Stamkos go. I still get confused as to why that went down the way it did. You know, I would have thought that they would have worked harder to make that work. But the flip side to that is, I mean, is Tampa really going to be better without? I mean, Stamkos is not young now, right? Was he like 34, 35 at this point? Um, 35. He's 35. And it's not like he lit it up in Nashville last year. He wasn't terrible, right? 27 goals, 26 assists. But you look at the difference. I mean, this tells you this tells you a lot, whether you want to look at it from a defensive point of view or what. But if you look at Stamkos's numbers here, and I know plus minus, generally speaking, isn't the best predictor of everything, but this bears looking at for a half a second. So, I mean, he goes plus 18, plus 4, plus 14, plus 4, plus 24. Now, of course, he had 106 points, plus 24. Then all of a sudden, minus 5, then minus 21, and then minus 36 with Nashville. Now, yeah, he's not scoring as many points. Okay, so I mean that's a viable thing. But you just wonder how his defenses look. Now his faceoff percentage has been all over the place. Now this drop of Stamkos to 50%, I'm going to assume that that's because he started playing in the Western Conference and he wasn't going up against centers every night that he would be, used to playing. Right? You get more and more comfortable, taking faceoffs against the same guys. All of a sudden you're, under a different circumstance. Excuse me. So I don't know that keeping Stamkos would have actually, I just don't know how much that would have helped. Right, Stamkos was the leader, locker room and on ice. Yeah, well, and then they brought in Gensel, which obviously made up for some of the production, right? But I wonder for you Tampa Bay fans, question I would have is looking at those numbers, was his defense lacking, or is that simply just a product of the team not being as good? Because that's a big difference to go from plus 24 to minus 21 in 2 seasons. Something happened there. And what's crazy about it is the year he was minus 21, he was 56% in the faceoff circle. And the year he was plus 24, he was 51%. So he was 5% better in the faceoff circle, which means more possession. But somehow his plus minus was different by 45 goals. Hey, Pente, how you doing? Bucks Rays, it was defense. And you had injuries too, right? Right. Yeah, David says from the outside, both seem less of a threat without him. I just am a little, I was surprised then that they didn't find a way. They didn't. Oh, which by the way, we didn't talk about this at all. What do you guys think about Jack Eichel? What do you think about the Eichel number? What was it? 13.5? Geez, you can't even open up this page without some of these websites. You can't even open them up without. There's so many ads you can't even read what the hell you're trying to read. So yeah, $13.5 million for Eichel for 8 seasons. He's 28, so that'll age well. What do you guys think? Bubba thinks it was not the smart thing letting Stamkos go. Penta says Eichel did was solid in my eyes. Prices have risen. Yeah, I still get it. I mean, I still get a kick out of these guys getting 12, 13, 17 million. We got Barkov for 10 and Reinhart for 9. Eichel is double Forsling. You know what I mean? Craig says, Stamkos definitely wanted to retire a Bolt, and maybe he'll end up coming back. Wouldn't that be something if they found a way to bring him back towards the end? You think it was about money, Bucks Rays? Kazuma, yeah, I seen that about Tua. Yeah. This is just the end of the roller coaster, man. So Kazuma, how you go up on the roller coaster and then it comes down, and that's the fun part. And then you've got that long straightaway towards where you got to wait to disembark. That's where we are. We've gone, the McDaniel Tua ride is already over. And now we're just on that long straightaway waiting. When are they going to let us off? When are they going to let us off so we can get back in line and try to do this again? David says, I may be delusional. Heck, I'm often deluded. But even without Sasha or Chucky returns, I'm really not worried about anyone. No, it's too easy going this year. Bucks Ray says, Stamkos wanted the bag. So Bucks Ray, I thought, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is me but I didn't Tampa offer him something like 8 years at the lower salary and tried to front load the contract so he'd get paid up front? Oh, me with my vertigo making roller coaster analogies. I used to ride roller coasters. I used to have a lot of fun riding roller coasters. Damn, I mean, not just the Disney ones. I went to Universal. I rode Kraken. I've ridden a lot of that stuff. I used to love the loops and all of that. Now, if I want a roller coaster experience, I just stand on a step stool. Everything starts moving and spinning. It's a lot cheaper. He wanted $5 million a year. You offered him $3 million. Interesting. Aren't they scary? Am I nuts? Well, when you're dad, though, Vincent, and your kids want to ride the roller coaster, you either ride the roller coaster with your kids, like, no, dad's afraid. I don't want to do roller coasters. Which one do you think I picked? You know what I mean? I rolled the roller coasters with them. But I hated the wait. Like, I hate the going up and all that. I always got nervous. But then once I was on it, I was like, okay, this ain't so bad. This is fun. Yeah, let's look at what he got with, what was his contract? That's a good point. That's ego talking. What did Stamkos get? Oh, no, not that. Jeez. Let's see here. So he signed a 4-year, $32 million. So we got 8. Jeez. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's $32 million. So, yeah, that's a big paycheck. Yeah, there's no way Tampa could have, right? I mean, unless they were going to give him, they would have had to give him $4 million a year for 8 years to match that. They would have had to go 8x4 instead of 4x8. Jeez. Yeah, he wanted to get paid, no doubt. David says, I like the old wooden roller coasters that sound like they're falling apart. Yeah. Pente, at the time when Barkey signed, I was mad because he took way less than what he was worth, but at the same time, it's Sasha. He's so humble. Yeah. Well, and everybody followed suit, right? I think the one that still gets me is the Forsling one. I mean, the fact that we got Forsling under 8 is absurd, but the fact that we got him under 6 is like, I don't even know that should be legal. Like, it's just, I can't believe how little he took for what he could have gotten on the open market. Pente, the Kaprizov $17 million deal was overpayment, but Minnesota had to do it. Yeah, when that happened, well, it's interesting, Pente, because when that happened, what I thought was McDavid's going to get 20, right? Because he's a I don't want to call him a nice player because he's better than a nice player, but $17 million is 1/5 of the salary cap, give or take. That means 20% of your cap on one guy. So, how are you supposed to build a competitive team, especially in today's climate where the Panthers have shown if you get a lot of good guys to take a little bit less, you need that depth to build a team. So, yeah, to me, it was a wholly overpayment. And look, it's not like, he's got the numbers to support it, kind of, right? Like, I think they're paying for what, and I'm not saying he's not been good. Okay, he's 28, but he's kind of in his prime right now. All right, so you're talking about, 5 seasons, 27, 47, 40, 46, 25 goals last year, but only to 41 games. So basically, you're getting 40 to 50 goals a season. Sam Reinhart's that guy. And you look at what Reinhart got paid, right? Kaprizov's not taking face-offs. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's killing penalties or whatnot. He's probably on a power play, but I don't know if he's killing penalties. Like, for what he brings you, he's for what he brings you to 17 just seems like like you said, an overpay. Yeah, you think Kaprizov was too greedy, but they gave it to him. You know what I mean? That's the craziness. Vincent says, Forsing's a waiver wire pick who didn't have an NHL career before the cap rise. It's perfect timing for Zito. Good deal for Gus. He knows where he came from. No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. He's appreciative and completely agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, David. Yeah, imagine Boldy making 7 and Kirill 17, right? That's just it. And now when we let me look at their caps. Minnesota. Boy, I can't type today. Wild salary cap. Okay. So when you come to Minnesota, geez, they had a bunch of cap space, but that'll be taken up with next year's. So yeah, Boldy's making 7 now. Kaprizov's making 17. Foligno, what's their cap space for next year? So next year, it looks like they're going to have about that $16 million in cap space next year. But they've got some contracts that they're going to have to fill out for next season. Tarasenko's probably not going to get signed again, I would assume. Zuccarello's probably not. The defense is pretty much locked up. And obviously they got Gustafson signed too. And they gave him the extension as well. 6.8. So they've got a little bit of room. The cap going up did help them. It's just such a crazy gap to have 17 and then your next highest player is Boldy at 7. Eriksson Ek makes 5.25, and he's signed, he's locked up too. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They have to overpay. It is what it is. But they better have success. But if they've got Kaprizov locked up, they've got Gustafson locked up. That's what they're going with. You know what I mean? That is definitely what they're going with. And they'll just have to make things work around that. It's just basically you get one guy taking up 2 salaries, right? Kaprizov is basically Reinhart and Verhaeghe's salaries put together, give or take. So you got one guy taking up 2. What if Panarin? Yeah, now Panarin might work there because he does need a contract. They got $16 million in cap space for next season. And they've got 18 contracts on the books for next season. So next year, there's no Tarasov, no Zuccarello. Johansson, Hinostroza, Bogosian, and then they're good on goalies. So they could probably sign Panarin. If Panarin was going to, if he wanted to go there, maybe they'd trade somebody at some point this year for him. But that's if the Rangers are ready to dish. Yeah, exactly, Pente. Yeah. Tarasenko came in a trade for free, right? So they're not going to give him any money. Yep. I still can't believe. I mean, Tarasenko has gotten paid, man. He's still on that deal where he's getting $4.75 million. So not that that's a massive deal, but he's managed to turn bouncing around the league into a profitable experience. All right, everybody, that's it. Got to run. 7 o'clock is the game, so 6:30 will be the members stream. We do that now. That's the benefit to being a member on this channel is we have a half hour. Members only stream before each Panther game. We'll be live at 7, and the recap will be up after that. And then tomorrow I'll be here bright and early, good to go at noon again. And, the beat just keeps on humming. All right, everybody. Appreciate all love, support, all the super chats. Much appreciation. And I shall see you tonight. I'll see some of you in a few hours.